What are you going to do today that was different from what you did yesterday? What are you going to think today that was different from what you thought yesterday? It's amazing. People keep doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting different results. That's one definition of insanity. To do the same thing over again and expect a different result. Yet they want their life to change, but they don't want to change. They don't realize that everything happening out there is emanating from in here, from inside of you. So they try to change the effect instead of the cause. And any change they may seem to get from there is only temporary. You must change the within before the without can change. It's like trying to fix your hair, but like touching the mirror. Everything is a reflection of what is going on inside of you. If you have a peaceful life, a prosperous life, then you are peaceful and prosperous within. Many people fight for peace in the world, but we will never have peace in the world until people have peace within themselves. And more than likely, there will always be warring factions because people war within themselves. People project. Many times people attack other people because the very things they attack them about are what is within that person. They try to destroy everything out there, but yet refuse to look within themselves and handle that, to destroy that within themselves that they don't like. The reason most people don't do that, the reason most people don't look within is because it's easier to take someone else's inventory than it is your own, but it's not beneficial. Few people want to look within themselves. Few people want to take the blame or responsibility for what is happening to them. Seems to me in the West we have something called victimhood. It's almost like a badge of honor to be a victim. You can be a victim or you can be a victor. The choice is always yours. What do you choose to do today? One method or way to do this is to take the word blame out of your life. Oh, I know you say, well, I was just walking down the street and this guy come up and assaulted me and stole my billfold. It's not my fault. No, it's not your fault. But stop and think about what kind of programs on TV have you been watching? What do you look at on social media? What have you been feeding yourselves? When you woke up this morning, what kind of world did you wake up to? Did you wake up to a beautiful, wonderful world? Or did you wake up to a terrible, dangerous, frightening world? You have a choice of which world you live in. And what you believe about the world, what you feel about the world, is what you will attract into your experience, or the experience you will walk into during your days. I believe I live in a wonderful, beautiful world. Now, does that negate that terrible things happen? No, it doesn't. But fortunately, it's not part of my experience. I try to stay away from any kind of graphic, violent content. Although I do watch a show in the evening. I used to like to watch the Vikings. It was a little violent. Seems like the old violence doesn't bother me as bad as the new violence does. Now, does that mean there are not wars going on in the world today and people aren't dying every day from I don't even know if I can say that word, from elimination attempts or eliminations? No, it doesn't. But if you stop and think about how many billions of people are in the world and how many people are warring today, you'll find the percentage is way less than 1%. But that doesn't make the news, does it? The wars, the killings, the assaults, and all these things are what make the news. It's almost like that's what people want to see. How many of you have been driving down the highway and wanted to stop and see a wreck? I don't. I keep going, and I suggest that you do the same. Sometimes my boys will be watching something that's kind of graphic, and I say, I don't want to see it. They want to show it to me. I don't want to see it. I don't want to impress myself with something that's going to make an emotional impact on me. Now, if you watch it once or twice or a couple times, it's not going to make that much difference. But if you make a habit of watching, let's say, violent programs, I'm being condemned because I've been watching one called A Person of Interest. But I can justify it because they're always helping people. But still, there's too much violence on there. I don't watch TV per se, but I do watch programs on the computer sometimes. But I'm careful about it, and I try to feed my mind before I go to sleep with something positive, something optimistic. But depending on what you believe the world to be, as I said earlier, that is what you're going to see. It's similar to God. The God you see is the God He will be. Your relation to Him is what your perception of your relation to Him will be. How do you perceive God? How do you perceive life? How do you perceive the world? How do you perceive your wife? How do you perceive your girlfriend? People and things and situations live up to the expectations, what you believe them to be. You have a great power within you to change people, but not by forcing them with your will, but by changing your perception of them. Always look for the good, the sunny side, the optimistic in every person, thing, and situation. Instead of thinking something's happening to you, think it's happening for you. If you believe in a loving God, as a father, as they portray him to be in many religions, would he want to hurt you? No, he would want you to succeed. He would want you to be happy. I'm a father of about 7 children. What do I want for my children? I want them to be happy, successful. And I help them out if they're helping themselves out. But if they're not, I don't help them. Well, your Heavenly Father is very similar to that. And when I say your Heavenly Father, my perception and opinion is not some old white-headed bearded deity out there in the sky. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It's here, it's now. We are immersed in it. And somehow, some way, there's a creative power there. Call it what you like. And we are immersed in that. We are it, we are in it, we are, it's among us. And when you talk to that, talk to it as if you talk to a friend, as if you're talking to yourself. Think about when people want to eliminate themselves. I can't live with myself. I can't live with myself. So you got like I and myself as 2 different people, or 2 different entities. It's not just you, not the personality who you are. There's a greater power within you, the I am personality. These personalities, these characters you play throughout life are just something you put on like a mask. The word personality comes from a Greek word used in theater, persona. Persona was a mask they used to portray the character they were playing in the theater. So too, you have many personalities. At one time you were a child, you were a student, maybe you're a McDonald's employee, maybe you were an athlete, maybe you were a player, maybe you were a technician, an IT man, a construction worker. These are all personalities. When someone asks you who you are and what you do, oh, I'm Mark, I'm a contractor. I'm Bill, I'm a computer technician. I'm Fred, I'm a designer. Whatever it happens to be, this is a personality you put on. It's not who you really are, not the essence of who you are. And that essence of who you are has the power to change that personality. So if you don't like what you are today in the world, you don't like your life, you can rewrite your story and become someone else, because you've done it many times before since you were born. You have the power to do that, to step into any kind of reality you desire. But first you have to believe it, and you have to change the way you think, change the way you act, become in consciousness the person you desire to be, or act as if you are who you desire to be. And it's really easily done. You did it many times when you were a child. You pretended to be a cowboy. You pretended to be, can I say this, an Indian. You pretended to be the marshal. You pretended to be a gangster. You pretended to be the good guy. the superhero. You pretended. Unless you become as a little child, you will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. Your kingdom awaits you, but you must believe it as if you've already received it. And if you received it, you would be acting as if. It's really just that simple. But it takes persistence. Persistence is omnipotent, and you have omnipotent power within you. You just have to put it to use by practice, by persistence, day in, day out. You didn't get to where you are today overnight. So more than likely, you won't get to where you want to go overnight. Persistence. And don't judge by the senses, by what you see, thinking it's never going to happen, because look at the way things are. That is the false, that is the least viable evidence there is, your senses. So remember that. Persist until you achieve the manifest desire in the outer world. But first, achieve it in the inner world, but then yourself. Ponder that today. Thanks for joining me. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and glad you were here. Have a great day.